Good morning, guys, and welcome to episode 13 of Scapa 2020, the series. It's Thursday morning. Nat's had a dry zip fixed, so she's back with us. The weather is better. Not great, but better. So we are off out diving again today. And our first target for today is the last battleship that we've yet to do, which is the SMS Konig, as can be seen here. So, really bad shape, this boat, guys. The salvors were not delicate with her. I don't know if this was their first attempt at doing this kind of stuff, but they made a big mess, and she's really quite broken up and not a lot recognisable. I mean, if you remember the last two ships, the stern was pretty good. The rudders were there, and as you can see on this, there's nothing left. They've really made a mess of it. So this is not a ship that you go and have a look at to look at its, gorgeous lines, stuff like that. This is a ship you go on to have a look at what's going on internally, which is exactly what we did. And for that, she is great. So, on with the dive plan. The shot line comes down here and drops you onto the side of the hull here. It's attached to some spur of metal coming out, nothing particularly of interest or noteworthy. And once we've got down here, the first thing we do is drop over this side of the hull here and into the blasted turbine room. Now, I know it's the turbine room because what you're going to look at is a whole turbine. And again, like a lot of things in Scapa, it's the only one left. And basically, the salvors have missed it. So they must have done such a good job of blasting it. They made such a mess. They completely missed this turbine. So it's there. It's about the size, I'd say, of two family cars. It's cracked open because I think there's a bit of metal that's sort of come down, probably from the superstructure, and sort of skewered it. So it's cracked open. You can see some of the fins inside. You can see where the pipe would have gone into it. But apart from that, it's a bit of it's just a box, really. But anyway, we'll go and have a look at it because we were told it was interesting and it was nice to look at. The rest of this in here, guy, it's just a scrapyard. A lot of this boat, guys, is just a scrapyard. So you can see lots and lots of bits everywhere that I can't tell you what's what. But there we are. So from the turbine, we move over this bulkhead here. So we come across, up, over, and then back down. And I don't know what room this is, but I can tell you what we're looking for. We're looking for a hole in the bottom. And basically what that is the bottom of the gun barbette. So I guess they must have stored something here, cordite or something like that. But it's the tube that comes down from the gun, and it's the tube that there was a lift mechanism, and they'd send all the explosives to launch the shells. The shells would come up from a different part of the ship, and so on and so forth. So you can just basically see a hole in the bottom with, I guess, some of that mechanism. Again, really not a lot recognisable, guys. But I'll talk you through what we were told about when we get there. Once you're done looking at that, we are heading towards the stern, and we come across and like the other side of this sheet of metal here. So I need to move the boat around. So here we go. Whee. Right, now this scan here, look, shows a swim through that goes from there and then comes out there, doesn't it? That's rubbish. There's nothing like that there, because if there was, I'd have done it. But there isn't. So this is all solid wreck, guys, so forget this. But what we're looking for is where this has all been blasted, what you can actually see is the internal, what they call the citadel in these ships. And the battleships had armour-plated outsides, then this sort of internal hull that we can see, and that's what looks like the outside of the ship now. But then they also had an internal armoured compartment that went sort of the length of the ship. And it's basically all this, and you'll see it's massive. It's a solid foot wide, 30 centimetres for those that work in metric, chunk of steel that's been put together in sort of tongue and groove formation. You've never seen a bit of steel as big in your life, or certainly I haven't. So we go and have a look at that. Then what else we do while we're down here, and this was the really sort of special thing for me, and you can't really see it in here, so I'm going to have to open this picture here. There we go, that's better. So if you look on this picture here, the citadel wall sort of comes across like that. Okay, there's rubbish here, and then there's a gap this side of the citadel wall, and then this gap here really isn't that big at all. And there's a gap here. Now what I do, just flick to a different colour, is I drop in here and then head under the boat here. And I can tell you guys that they're as I dive this, there is a massive amount of space under there, and I really wanted to, flick the video lights on and go and have a really good explore, but unfortunately it wasn't part of the dive plan. I didn't have my rec line with me either, so it would have been reckless to go in without that. And also we had, as I said earlier, Nat was back with us, and she really doesn't do sort of overhead environments. So while me and Neil had a bit of a nose, we left her outside. We were only in there, a minute and a half, 2 minutes at max. So it wouldn't have been fair to leave her there any longer than that. So yeah, it was just one of those things. I'd love to stay and have a bit more explore next time. So once we'd done all that, this is another one of these ships where you do a Yui, because there's no point going down to the back, because that's more of a scrapyard. So what we do is we head up back again to where we started. So the shot line, would have been, I don't know, here somewhere. So we come past that, and then it's probably a bit of a lie actually. We probably drop down about here and start heading down. Now what we're looking for is, if I just move the boat across. So what we're looking for is we come across here, and you can see here these ribs, and the superstructure ribs like we've seen before on the other battleships. But if you go in at some point and have a look, and again, Emily or your skipper will tell you exactly what you're looking for. I can't remember. It was something to do with the amount of ribs or something coming across where there was a join. Anyway, you go in, and there's a hole. There's a hole in the hull, and there's lots of holes in the hull, but you're looking for this particular one anyway. You stick your head in, and then you get greeted with the spider monster. Yes, the spider monster. That's how Emily referred to it, and I shall forever remember it as the spider monster, because it's quite a cool name. But you stick your head in, and there's the spider monster. Now, I'll explain the spider monster when we get there, but for now, you'll just have to sit in anticipation. Okay, so once we've seen the spider monster, again, I think I come out, let Neil and Nat have a look at it, or that's what I thought they were doing. As it turns out, they weren't. I come out, have a little bit of a play. When I see that they're out again, we have a little check of time, and then I don't know if you can just see that little light dot there. What we're doing is similar to what we did on the Dresden, and we come up through the hull and pop out the other side. So if we have a look at that from this side, so again you can see here, look guys, the hull has been blasted to bits, but we sort of pop up through here, and then we come along. And then at that point, we've all got plenty of deco to do, so we head on up. So that's the rough dive plan, guys. Let's skip to the video and have a look at it in the flesh. Welcome to the Konig, guys. So this is a bit of the hull plating, a bit of a kit battle here, and in a second we'll head over the side and check out this turbine. So here we are, guys. Just underneath us now is this turbine. I don't know if you can see the bit of metal coming down from you right there, centre screen, but it does appear to sort of hit the turbine and sort of skewer it a little bit. So in a second we're just going to switch to Neil Cam because I don't know what I was doing. I was fettling about with something. I really didn't get too much good footage of this, so here we are. Here's Neil's point of view, and he does a much better job on this one getting some shots, so enjoy a look at the turbine. As you can see, a lot of the housing on this turbine has come away, especially at this front bit that Neil's on at the moment. We're assuming that's where the steam went into it. It looks like a sort of cracked pipe, doesn't it? But yeah, I mean, as Neil looks around it, you can see a lot of the little finials on the inside. I'm not sure which bit span and which bit didn't. I'm afraid I'm just not that much of an engineer. But yeah, I mean, this is what they were blasting to go in and get, guys. So like I say, this is the only one that's still intact. Bits of it, like that bit that you can see to the right now, are dotted all over the ships, to be honest with you. You see them quite frequently. But yeah, you certainly don't see a full version like you do here. So I think Neil's just going to go around and have a look at the back, and we'll have a look and see what comes out to the back end of one of these. So again, we assume the bit there is a pipe at the bottom because it doesn't make sense for a drive shaft, because orientation wise the way that pipe's pointing is towards the bow, not towards the stern. The stern's the other way, there we are, the way that Neil's pointing now. So yeah, it doesn't make sense for it to be a drive shaft particularly. Yeah, sorry, there's a flick back to my footage now. So this is back to Andy Cam, blinding Nat with my video lights. I'm sure she appreciated that. Sorry, Nat. But yeah, so that's the turbine. Like I say, the rest of it, guys, just blown to bits, total scrapyard. So we're going to head to this bulkhead now, head over, and then we'll go and have a look at this hole that is the bottom of the barbette. So there we are. I mean, as I said, it's difficult to miss. It's a really great big, perfectly round hole. Now, I'm going to sort of swim over it and then swim away because I'm trying to be nice and let other people get in there and have a look. But when everybody sort of sits there looking at each other, I think, right, stuff that, and I go down and have a look. So I'm going to switch to Neil Cam as well because you get some real sense of scale in it when I'm in there, because if you've not noticed, I'm a big lad. There we are. So if I fit in, there we are, just a sense of scale. Yeah, it's quite a big opening. So difficult to miss this one. It's worth sticking your head in and having a look around. And in a minute, we'll flick cameras again and you can have a look at it from my point of view. there's not a lot in there that I recognise. I mean, Emily was saying that some of this will be the sort of lift mechanism that used to bring the like I say, the cordite and the shells for the guns and various bits and bats, but there's nothing left of it. There's nothing recognisable anyway. For me, you can sort of see there the bottom of the barbette where it sort of finishes, and I guess meets this bit of decking. But again, lots of scrap knocking about, but very interesting and very cool to know that this is the bottom of one of those big turrets, which unfortunately you can't see. So that's it for the rooms, guys. We are just heading towards the stern now, again over more scrapyard, and we're looking for this really thick steel that marks the or is the citadel, or part of the citadel of the ship. So we've just flicked to Neil Cam because I want you to hear what he says when he realises that he's looking at it right now.
Okay, that is thick steel.
Yeah, so as you heard there, Neil thinks it's quite thick steel, and Neil's a guy who works with industrial machinery and stuff like that, so he sees big stuff all the time. So if Neil thinks it's impressive, then you can take my word for it, it's impressive. It's a full foot thick, you know what I mean? And again, it doesn't quite give you the sort of scale on the video. So we're back to my footage now, and again, you can see there, it's huge. It's a really thick bit of steel, and you think this went right through sort of the core centre of the ship, as a sort of a reinforced part. It must have weighed thousands of tons. It's really, really impressive. So just while we're here, if you just look left and right to the citadel, there are big dark holes. So I'm going to bob down the one to the right and have a bit of a look. I'm afraid I couldn't resist. I didn't realise it was going to be quite as vast a space as it was, but like I say in the intro, guys, I would have loved to have spent a bit more time fettling around, but unfortunately it wasn't part of the plan. So I think a bit of tactical wafting now, just to have a look at this sort of tongue and groove joint, just to see how these things were put together. So there's Neil's camera, just because I think you get a better shot of it just there. Yeah, you just sort of see, sort of the zigzag where the plates were put together. So yeah, tongue and groove construction, the Citadel, which was quite cool. But yeah, this is me disappearing into the depths of the ship and having a bit of a fettle round.
See what's going on, look. Let's get that in, I'll quick look.
Hopefully you can see, guys, just how sort of big a space it was under here. Again, my torch isn't particularly weeny, but certainly in places it wasn't reaching the other side. So there was absolutely bags of space down here. Again, I'm just being careful. As you can see, there's lots of cabling, there's lots of stuff dangling down just ready to snag you, so I'm just moving carefully. And I'm really enjoying this, exploring this, but in a second sort of my rational brain kicks in and goes, you know what, we're in here sort of 8 or 9 meters now. If we go much further, there was just a risk, of getting snagged on something or getting lost. I couldn't see daylight anywhere else, so I think there was just the one entrance and exit to this particular bit of the wreck. So I just turn around here now. I can see that Neil's gone in and is exploring the other side. And there's Nat at the top, just shining a torch here. And I think right about here, I think a spot. Again, I'm sorry for this, guys, but I've explained this to you. There's a scallop on the inside, so. Again, once you've seen it, you've got to have it. So I took him out and did release him, but I can't resist picking him up. So right about here, guys, the exit's right above me, and I'm just trying to take deeper breaths, to sort of lift myself out of the hole without kicking the crap out of it. And I get caught on a tiny little fine bit of wire, basically, a bit of cabling. It's just on the back of my ankle, just towards my calf, and I can't lift myself. And it just goes to show, you can get in trouble by, the tiniest little thing. So you really got to be careful. I mean, luckily for me, it was just a case of reorientating, shifting my leg around it, and it didn't thankfully catch on anything, spring strap or anything like that. And I'm, there we are. I'm out. But it just bring it home. It doesn't take a lot to make things difficult. It really doesn't. So here we are again with Neil Cam, and this is Neil making his way out. He turns around, and lo and behold, we've been joined by the rest of the boat by the looks of it, and you just see me emerging out of the hole, just stuck for a second or so, not a long period of time, but just long enough to sort of get the adrenaline flowing. There I am, emerging from a hole, and suddenly Corky and Al are upon us.
Don't do that.
And again, back to my view. So there he is. There's Al. I think Corky's behind him. So that's it. So this is where we do a Yui, guys. We're going to speed back the way we came, back to sort of where the shot line hits. So shot line's just off to my left, and this is the bit where we descend. So this is to the right is the sheet of steel that we sort of landed on earlier. So I'm just going to check that everyone's okay and still with me. Hello! Hello, there we are. So no, everyone's still there. So this is it. We're going to drop down the side here. You'll see some of the rib superstructure that we've seen on the other battleships. We'll just take a little fin and try and find the spider monster. So as I head in between the hull and the ribs here, you can see, look, there's another doorway, tempting dark hole to go and explore. But, you know, conscious that on this dive we've got Nat with us, she's only on a 15. Her air consumption is absolutely fantastic, but even so, there's limits and there's still things to do. But, you know, if you've got the time and you've got 2 or 3 dives you can do on this boat, it's got to be a fantastic place to go and explore. So yeah, I would definitely recommend doing more than 1 dive on this boat if you can. So here I'm looking at the row of ribs, guys, and I'm looking for the pattern that Emily's told us about, so I know which bit to go into and find this hole where the spider monster lives. Now, I think what it is there's a row of quite short ones, and then there's one longer one. So if we have a look here, there's a row of 4, there's a gap lock, and then you can see that longer one that sort of goes all the way down. Well, that's what you're looking for, because we go in here and then we hang a left, follow it to the end, and there's the hole and the spider monster. Now, that daylight that you've just seen me look up to, that's our eventual exit. When we come out and we've done all the stuff we need to do in here, we go back in and then up through that hole, but you'll see that later. And there it was. Did you see it? Well, I'm going to stick the video lights on because I ain't afraid of no monster. But I have to apologise, guys, because I spent a minute or so here faffing about trying to find the switch for the second one that had somehow rolled away. So anyway, in a second we'll get a better look at this spider monster and I can explain what it actually is. So yeah, here it is, the spider monster. Now, what it actually is a boiler. It's one of the ship's boilers. So we're looking into the boiler room right now, and that's a boiler. It's a boiler that the steel housing that surrounded it has rusted away, and I'll explain it to you. So this part would have been the water reservoir, and then these pipes here, or the spider leg bits, are the little steam pipes that would have taken the high pressure steam and distributed it throughout the ship for operating this, that and the other. The red bit here represents the fire, because that's the underneath is where the heat would have come from. Because remember, this is upside down because the boat's upside down, so you've got to think of everything the other way round. Yeah, but I can definitely see why she thinks it looks like a spider monster, and I'm happy to go with that. So I think really cool thing to see, and one of those things that if it had not been explained to me, I would have had absolutely no idea what the chuffing heck I was looking at. I got to be honest. So anyway, I'm going to get out of here and let Neil and Nat have a look, even though it turns out that they didn't. So that's a shame. We'll have to get them on the spider monster next time we go up. So here we are back at the sort of entrance to the spider monster cave, if you want to say that. So and this is the exit. So this is where we're going to come out. So there's plenty of space on this, guys. I was just making sure that I was as close to sort of the inner hull as I could, just conscious that I didn't get snagged on anything. But as you'll see when I turn around and watch Nat up through it, there's plenty of space. So yeah, really nice atmospheric sort of shortcut. And again, got the same kind of buzz as when we went through the Dresden the other day. It's the same kind of thing. For me, it's just a cool thing. It's not something you can say you've done every day. Come up through the bottom of the hull of a battleship. So yeah, again, really enjoyed this, and this just leads you up onto the hull. So yeah, we'll just watch the other guys come up. So there we are, Neil and Nat safely up through the hull, and shortly to be followed by Al and Corky, who were right behind us and were checking out the spider monster for themselves. That's pretty much it, guys. We have a little bit of a tete-a-tete now just to check on times, but as it looks, Nat's got 10 minutes time to surface, and just remember she's only on a single 15, so no deco gas, so she's got to make it on her back gas, which she did. Like I say, she breathes like a fish. She never runs out of gas, but anyway, it was time to go. So all we do, guys, here is bag off from here, do the deco, back on the boat, and a nice cup of coffee. So thanks a lot for watching this video. Please think about subscribing, hit the little notification bell so you don't miss out on any of the upcoming videos, and hopefully I will see you on the next one. Until then, guys, dive safe.